And let's now move next to Mirror Now's special campaign, Make Our Locals Safe. The inquiry report on the stampede at Mumbai's Elphinstone station that killed 23 people on the 29th of September has given a clean chit to leaders, railways and other officials. The 5-member probe committee has blamed the rains, chaos and rumours. It has not named negligence as a reason anywhere, neither has it taken into account the poor condition of infrastructure in the station. And now the Railway Ministry also formed yet another 4-member panel to probe the delay in construction of the Elphinstone footover bridge. This panel is headed by former Chief Vigilance Commissioner and is supposed to ensure that no such incidents takes place in the future. The industry and infrastructure experts are going to be a part of this panel. The question that we're asking here is that is this an honest report aimed at change and improvement, or it's simply another cover-up? Richa Sharma, in fact, visited the Andheri station to look for changes on the ground, and she joins us live as well. Richa, if we look at the way, the reaction coming in from the government, rather than pointing and pinning and questioning the authorities who are responsible for building and widening that footover bridge, we are seeing yet another committee that's being formed again. So the question, as we've asked before as well, is this a part of another major cover-up, or are we looking at some actual change on ground?
Yes, absolutely. I'm currently standing on the Andheri railway station, and I would like you to show, the camera person to pan and show what exactly the situation is on this particular footover bridge, which is extremely narrow and it is not able to accommodate the trains that come all the way from Virar towards Andheri every single day. And when we spoke to a number of these commuters, they themselves fear for their lives. They are stating that after the Elphinstone stampede that happened, they are still fearing for their lives because the sizes of the footover bridges and the number of footover bridges available on these major junctions, and Andheri being again a major commercial junction where a number of office goers and people travel every single day for work purposes, is not sufficient enough to safeguard them. And although we are seeing a few RPF officers and the railway officials on the station to look after the crowd, but the commuters are not happy. So certainly the probe report, where the officials and the authorities have given themselves a clean chit and the railway authorities a clean chit, certainly the commuters and the on-ground report is not satisfactory enough, and it is completely opposite.
All right, Richa, do stay with us. Joining us over the phone line, Mr. Madhav Bhandari of the BJP. Mr. Bhandari, your response to another committee being set up rather than working on ground and questioning the authorities who are responsible for that particular footover bridge, for widening of the footover bridge, for abrogation of the infrastructure. We are seeing yet another committee being formed. Firstly, your response to that.
Sorry, I can't hear you properly.
Mr. Bhandari, we are seeing yet another committee, yet another inquiry that has been set up by the government. But in fact, yesterday when that report, that initial probe report came out, we saw none of the authorities who were responsible for the upgradation of the infrastructure of local train stations and those footover bridges. They were not at all questioned. They have been given a clean chit, but what we are seeing in return is that there's been another committee that has been set up that will look into the work here.
Yesterday's committee's report, which has been mostly relegated to the gossip mongering and the bad effects of that gossip mongering, but there are many questions which are not answered in that committee's report. That's why government has to appoint the second committee, and government is very sensitive. Government is very serious to resolve such issues for future. So government appointed another committee.
But why committee after committees are being set up and work's not being done? Because this particular committee that was set up was set up to look into the inadequacies and to look into who was in fact to be held responsible. But what we saw in fact yesterday, that none of the authorities who are responsible for this particular footover bridge or for the upgradation of the local train station being held accountable. All right, we've lost Mr. Bhandari there of the BJP, stating that in fact stating that the earlier probe committee that was set up and whose report in fact came yesterday could not look at all the angles and was not a complete report, which is why the Rail Ministry had to set up another committee. But the question here that we're asking is this also going to be an honest report aimed at change and improvement, or is simply going to be another cover-up? Richa is still with us. She's at the Andheri station. Richa, you were showing how badly crammed this particular station is as well. It's in fact quite a similar scene just as the Elphinstone rail station there. We also understand that there was a particular deadline that was set up by the rail minister, in which he had promised that there would be an audit done on all the local train stations on the inadequacies and on the points that need to be worked upon. On ground, do you see that work being done? Do you see that there's any change on ground? Because soon after the tragedy, there were tall promises that were made by the Railway Ministry as well as the government there, ensuring that all that can be done would be done to ensure a safe commute for the passengers there. But on ground, do you see that happening?
That's right. Even when we spoke to the Western Railway authorities yesterday on the audit report, on the probe report, they have given a number of assurances that they have already submitted the reports to the ministry, to the GMs of their respective railway routes. But when we go on the ground, when we go on the railway stations, when we talk to the commuters, the situation does not seem to have changed much. And the commuters' agony which they face every single day, specifically during the morning and the evening rush hours, is to be seen, because somewhere they are stating that they expect that now such a big tragedy that happened on the Elphinstone Parel Bridge, where 23 people lost their lives and many of them were left injured, and now you are also stating in the probe report that they are giving themselves a clean sheet and blaming the heavy rainfall and rumors being the reason, clearly has increased the anger amongst these commuters, which they want, because they want that the railway authorities themselves take cognizance and act responsibly and start showing some groundwork as well. Although we are seeing that there has been an increase in the security personals, specifically the RPF officers and the police personals on the railway platforms who are guarding these foot-over bridges and crowd, but the commuters don't find them to be sufficient enough, specifically during the rush hours.
All right, Richa Sharma, thanks for getting us those inputs. So despite tall promises being made by the ministry soon after that tragedy took place, there's been no action taken on ground. Those promises really not reflecting on the ground there.